Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hacker AJ Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Snowpiercer Season number 2, Episode number 8, which is titled The Eternal Engineer. And a lot happened in this episode that I wasn't expecting, and I do have some issues with it, but I can kind of understand where the writers are coming from, but I think it could have been handled a lot better. Anyway, the episode opens up with Roche. He's giving us a voiceover about his thoughts regarding Snowpiercer and the people waiting for Wilford to return. He basically talks about how the people on Snowpiercer feel that the system is crumbling, and they remember the times they had when Wilford was in charge. Not necessarily Wilford. They thought Wilford was in charge because of Melanie, and they want that time back now because Wilford, to them, he's the one who saved them all. He's the one who constructed the train and all of that stuff. So they want Wilford to come back and take his rightful place as the leader of Snowpiercer and all of that stuff. And you can see that Roche is conflicted because, according to similar to hospitality, the brakemen need to stay neutral as well. But of course, his allegiance lies with the Layton right now. However, compared to Roche, his wife Anne thinks that it's time for Wilford to come back. And while we are getting a voiceover, we cut to Boki, and it's time for Boki to handle his group, the breachmen that were murdered. And at first, I was like, wait, shouldn't they be using these dead bodies as fertilizer? But no, it turns out that Boki ended up throwing all of the dead bodies out of Snowpiercer, which kind of felt like a waste to me. But it is what it is. Then we cut to Bess, Roche, and Layton talking to Boki, and they're basically telling Boki that it wasn't a Tail who did this because we know that Pastor Logan ended up killing himself in the previous episode, and Bess tells Boki that he confessed about playing a part in killing the breachman, and it was Wilford. And Boki, of course, doesn't trust Layton and Bess and Roche. He's like, no, you're just telling me a lie. I know that it was the tail, and you're just trying to hide. You're just trying to ensure that the tail doesn't face any consequences. Then we cut to Alex and Wilford in Big Alice. Alex, not Alice. Yeah, Alex and Wilford in Big Alice, and Alex knows that Wilford is up to something, and she confronts Wilford about what happened in Snowpiercer last night. And Wilford is like, you know what, Alex, I have no idea what you're talking about. And even if I was thinking something, I don't think that I need to tell you about my plans. Then we cut to Bess, Light, the Doctor, Zara, Layton, and Roche. They're basically trying to decide what to do with Wilford because Wilford has sleeper agents inside Snowpiercer who ended up basically killing the breachman and causing more trouble for the tail. So they all are deciding what to do, and this is where Layton asks Roche if the breachman will stand with him, and Roche is like, "Yep, they'll stand with me." And then we cut to Roche. He's very worried about the safety of his family. Apparently, they lost two children before Snowpiercer, and he ends up telling his only daughter to go up train where she'll be safe and closer to school. And yeah, the daughter says goodbye to Roche and her mom, and then. These two talk about their allegiances, and yeah, Anne is like, Roche, are you sure you have a handle on things? And Roche is like, yep, Layton is a good guy. I trust him, and what will be will be. We'll get through this. And this is where Roche ends up turning on the faucet, and it breaks, and water is spilling everywhere. And these two laugh, but no, the situation is more serious than they think. Then they realize, and yeah, apparently because of that tiny little leak, the entire floor has been flooded, and of course, water is a limited resource on Snowpiercer, so they need to fix it. Root comes in to check on Anne and everyone. And then we get a scene between Oz and LJ because they want to stay on the train and have some sense of purpose. This is where Oz is like, LJ, I need you to handle this situation. If we end up handling the water situation, hospitality and the rest will realize how important the janitorial department is to the train and all of that stuff. And then we cut to Big Alice, and we have Josie and Wilford. And Wilford comes to meet Josie, and he's very impressed by by Josie's recovery process. Her face almost looks like how it's supposed to, because of the goo that the Headwards were using. And this is where Wilford basically starts using his psychological prowess on Josie. He's like, Josie, I understand that you have phantom pain on the limb that you lost. And he ends up taking out this prosthetic, and he ends up helping Josie visualize the pain. And because Josie's neurons think that the hand is still there, that helps with the pain. And basically, yeah, Wilford is using his, as I said, his psychological powers on Josie, and I really hope that they don't work. Then we cut to Layton, Bess, Roshan, Ben, and of course they're worried about the water situation. Apparently, the filtration system that creates water by using hydrogen and oxygen, that's malfunctioning, and they need to fix it. And yeah, Layton is like, you know what? I really think that all of this bad stuff is happening because of Wilford. And Roche is like, you know what? Every unfortunate situation isn't the result of Wilford's plan, but you know what? We have to fix this. And Layton is like, only Boki knows how to fix this, and they need to talk to Boki about saving the train. And then Audrey comes into the engine's control panel, and she notices Alex is there, and Audrey is like, wait, where's Wilford? And Alex is like, I don't know, but why are you here? And Audrey is like, I'm here because Wilford said that I should be ready to see what's going to happen next. And this is where Alex looks outside Big Alice, and she sees Icy Bob making his way from Snowpiercer back to the train. And yeah, Icy Bob has been injured. So yeah, it's clear that Icy Bob was sent to Snowpiercer to sabotage their water filtration system. And then this scene, I actually enjoyed this scene. This is where Audrey ends up meeting Josie, and they have never met before. However, both of them know about each other. And Josie is like, how's Layton? Audrey is like, you know what, Layton is still, he isn't standing, but he's crawling. And this is where Josie realizes that Audrey defected. And Audrey is like, Josie, what did you expect me to do? You and I were leaders of our people. We ended up shouldering a lot of responsibility. But you know what, now that I'm on Big Alice and I don't have all of that responsibility on me, I feel free. And the choice is yours. You can stay on Big Alice and create a new life for yourself. So yeah, you decide what you want to. Layton and Bess talk to Boki, and they're like, Boki, I know that you don't trust us and you don't trust the tail, but the train needs you and you have to do this. And Boki is like, you know what, I'll do this. Then we cut to Josie talking to Icy Bob in the infirmary. And Icy Bob is, I guess he's about to die. And Mrs. Headward isn't happy about it, and she's like, years of experimentation and we still haven't unlocked his entire potential. But you know what, even though we lost Icy Bob, Josie, you need to rest because you are showing a lot of potential as well, and we need to study what you're capable of. And this gives Josie an idea. So yeah, I was very happy to see Josie's body now being resistant to the cold. And yeah, I guess Josie is going to use that to help Layton somehow. Then we cut to Alex and Wilford, and yeah, Alex is still worried about Snowpiercer because of course she wants Snowpiercer and Big Alice to pick up Melanie on time, and she doesn't appreciate Wilford playing all of these games. And Wilford is like, you know what, Alex, if you are so suspicious and you are being so weird about the entire situation, why don't you call Snowpiercer and find out yourself? So Alex calls Snowpiercer, and she is like, is everything okay? Are you guys okay? And of course they lie because Layton doesn't want Wilford to know what's gone wrong, even though it's Wilford who caused the problem in the first place. So we have this entire scene where Boki goes outside and he helps take out this weird, what is this giant bolt or a nail, I don't know, stuck in the water system, and he ends up taking it out. And this is where Boki realizes that, yep, it was Wilford who sabotaged the train, and it was Wilford who ended up killing his breachman, even though Wilford was like, you know what, breachman, you protect me and I'll protect you. And this is where Boki ends up siding with Layton by giving Layton Wilford's coin. And he's like, and Boki is like, you know what, Layton, I need you to shove it up Wilford when you meet him. Then we cut to LJ and Root, and LJ is like, Root, were you impressed by the job that I did? And Root is like, yes, I am. And LJ is like, yeah, I want to continue doing this job so that I am able to play an important role when Wilford comes back. Wilford comes back, and Root is like, you know what, LJ, you don't have to worry about any of this. But from Root's voice, you know that she's worried about Wilford coming back and taking control of Snowpiercer. And then Anne decides to talk to Root, and Anne is like, Root, what about you? What about hospitality? And Root is like, hospitality needs to remain neutral. And Anne is like, what about Roche? What about the brakeman? And Root is like, you know what? The brakeman will remain neutral to you. You have to trust Roche. And we see Roche talking to Bess and the rest of the brakemen about how to keep Snowpiercer secure, because they know that people are sabotaging the train because of Wilford. And Anne comes in, and Anne brings sandwiches for everyone. And this is where Anne has a talk with Roche, and she's like, Roche, I need you to place your family first. And if Wilford comes back, what do you think is supposed to happen? Wouldn't that be nice? And Roche is like, no, Anne. Okay, I need to go back. Roche is like, no, Anne. Layton is a good guy, and I don't want Wilford coming back and bringing that dictatorship with him. And you have to trust me. And yeah, I found it interesting seeing this married couple having differences of opinions. And then we cut to LJ and Oz, and LJ ended up making dinner for Oz, and this is where these two bond. And Oz is like, you are my only friend here, and LJ is like, but Bess is your friend too. And Oz responds that, no, I went through a lot with Bess. She's not my friend. And I'm like, Oz, Bess is your friend. You just have to connect with her. And then these two end up sharing a little kiss, because Oz tells LJ that she's his favorite. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think no one asked for LJ and Oz to be a romantic couple, especially because we know about LJ's past. And I'm like, Oz, how could you ignore all of that? But then again, maybe the writers wanted to give these two something, so they ended up making them a pair, which, you know what, I'm not a fan of. So the filtration system isn't necessarily working properly, because the hydrogen level keeps fluctuating, and Bess, Harvey, and Layton go down into the engine. And this is where and they try to figure out the problem. And this is where we get to see Alex, and she's like, yep, I know what you did. You sent Icy Bob into Snowpiercer to sabotage the water system. And of course Wilford is impressed. He's like, see, Audrey, I told you she'll figure it out. And Audrey is like, you know what, yes, she did, but she's still 2 steps behind you. And then we see that Harvey takes out this harmonic module that Wilford made, and that has been fried because of all of the fluctuating data. And Snowpiercer only has 2 or 3 hours to until it stops functioning, and they need to contact Wilford because he's the only one who has the replacement module. And this puts Layton in a very tough situation. But Ben is like, we have to contact Wilford in order to save Snowpiercer. And Snowpiercer ends up calling Big Alice, and you can see Wilford and Audrey being happy about it, and they talk about the module that they want. And Layton is talking to Root, Beth, Lights, Zara, and Roche about what Wilford did, and they are actually surprised that Wilford's the one who wants to destroy the train. And Layton is like, "Yeah, that's what he wants in order to regain control. It's basically an ego problem with him." And this is where they realize that they need to bring Wilford back into the train. But Root is like, "No, if people find out that Wilford is on the train, then they'll defect to him and they'll support him." And Layton is like, "No, we'll keep it a secret. We'll hide him," and all of that stuff. And I'm like, Layton, really? You really think that no one is going to notice Wilford coming into the train? And of course someone does, and he ends up telling the rest of the people who are supportive of Wilford. And Wilford comes down into the engine, and this is where, like, these interactions between Layton and Wilford I really enjoyed, because even though Layton is a good guy and he wants to do what's best for Snowpiercer, he isn't an engineer. He doesn't necessarily understand how the train works. However, Wilford, on the other hand, he wants to be the ruler of Snowpiercer, and he knows how the train works, so he has more points on Layton. And he ends up giving the module to Harvey. He installs it, but the module ends up not working, because apparently a few years ago Melanie had to do this hack in order to keep the boogie motors running, and because of that hack, Wilford's harmonic module can't override what Melanie did. And he's actually very surprised, because he wasn't expecting this at all. And you can tell that Wilford doesn't want to destroy Snowpiercer, so he does what he can to help Snowpiercer repair itself, and he basically commands a manual shutdown. And this is the first ever time that this has happened. And I really like this scene where alarms are blaring and everyone is scrambling in order to manually shut down the train. And yeah, this is where Zara, Root, Bess, and Roche realize that, yup, now everyone is going to think that Wilford's the one who saved everyone, even though he was the root of the problem in the first place. It's basically a situation that Layton can't win, and yeah, the manual override works, and Wilford is the one who's communicating with the rest of the train on the communication system, and everyone is happy that Wilford came back to save Snowpiercer, and he looks at Layton, and he's like, "Yeah, Layton, you lost." And now here is the problem that I kind of had, because I was like, Layton, why would you allow Wilford to talk to the rest of the people through the communication system? Couldn't you stop him? Couldn't you kill him? But then again, I'm like, you know what? Considering all of the people who support Wilford, if Layton ended up killing Wilford, I think the rest of the people would have come for Layton. They would have killed him or something. And maybe Layton realizes that, you know what? Maybe Wilford is right, because Wilford knows how the train works. Maybe he is the better leader. And yeah, I can kind of understand why the writers didn't want Layton to kill Wilford, but yeah, I do think that it could have been handled better. So it's time for Layton to give control to Wilford, and Ben basically says goodbye to Layton, and he's supposed to go to Big Alice, and Zara comes in, and Zara tells Layton that he should never give up. And I'm like, you know what, Layton, you shouldn't, because Josie is there, Alex is there, you also have some friends on Big Alice. I think you'll come up with a plan. And then we get a scene where Audrey is taking Roche to into this room on Big Alice, and the music was very Game of Thronesy, and I was like, no, Roche, don't go with Audrey, because you could feel that something bad was going to happen. And yep, it turns out that Roche is supposed to go into the drawers. The same, his wife and daughter are already in there, and I felt so sorry for Roche. I really hope that someone comes and revives him. And then the episode ends with Ben getting up and giving control of Snowpiercer to Wilford. And you know what? I wasn't expecting Wilford to regain control of the train by the 8th episode. I really thought that he would never regain control of the Snowpiercer, but it is what it is. So I guess now he's going to do something, or maybe Layton and Josie are going to do something as they come near to picking up Melanie. Let's see what happens. I will be doing a written review of this for the Geeky Edit. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Next week we won't be getting an episode. However, on the week after that, we will be getting a 2-episode finale, and the show has been renewed for a season 3. So I'm excited. So yeah, let me know, and until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.